like it's not often that we have a show where we're not like focused on the UFC card besides like maybe when there isn't one, but usually like when there's a fight night, especially with like a main event like the one that we had, which we'll get into in a bit, but like there was just so much like other stuff going on in like all combat sports this weekend. So if it's okay with you guys, we're not going to focus as much on the UFC. Like we're still going to talk about it, but like we're not going to like go as in depth as we usually do about as
Yeah.
many fights. But I don't like we could really start anywhere with this weekend, but I feel like we'd be remiss if we don't start with Canelo versus Triple G3 because like all the fans that like I've been seeing like have been hyped for that fight, and like even the day of you could really feel like the tension like boiling, like everybody was ready to see it happen, even though obviously the odds makers agreed with pretty much pundits that Triple G didn't really have that much of a chance as he usually would have because he is 40, and Canelo is also in the
That
midst
makes
of his
sense.
prime. But that was just a great. It was a great win for Canelo. I mean, he needed that on his resume, like really just solidify himself as better than Triple G, even though he might have waited a little bit to
Yeah.
get that fight. But one thing I did want to like talk about. I don't know if you saw the scorecards for this fight, but dude, like, so I'll read them out. It was unanimous decision, thank God. But like we've talked about this, like how fucking boxing judges got to make it seem like it's closer than it is. 116 to 112, and then two 115s to 113. Like, what fight were they watching? Like
Yeah,
that was
I
as
don't
one
know.
sided as you could get. Like, I think you could argue Triple G maybe won like two of the last three rounds, but that's about it.
I don't really understand the like, because we're all watching the fight. So what's the point of like altering the scorecard to make it seem as if it was closer than
My theory
the
is just
than
like
what it actually
the
was?
record books. That's my theory because like yeah, me and you know, but like 50 years from now, like when we're not paying as much attention or something, and then like the kids are looking up, on Tapology or like
Oh.
Wikipedia, and they see the scorecards, they're like, wow, it was a good fight. Like,
Yeah.
but if you watch it, like, dude, it's so weird because all their fights, besides the second one was scored pretty well, but the first one even, I think that one was a draw. Canelo should have lost that fight. Like that was one sided towards Triple G in my opinion with that one, and then obviously the second one was probably I think probably the best fight for Canelo because considering that Triple G was still like very good at the time and he got that win, but man, these scorecards, man, this is why we like the UFC and MMA better than boxing because like Canelo whooped Triple G's ass in there, and somehow two of the judges saw it 115 to 113. Like that's crazy to me.
So stupid.
Yeah. So what? It's so weird because I think we could like officially say that that might be it for Triple G, at least at the highest level.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you have any like ideas in your head, but I have like a couple ideas maybe what could be like next for Canelo after this. I know you don't follow boxing as closely, but
I
what do you
mean,
think?
I agree with you in the sense like he needed like to get like this, I guess just this name on his resume and whatnot. Like I've like Canelo is still very much like title or no title, champion no champion. Like Canelo is still like top dog.
Oh, dude.
Exactly, pound for
I think
pound.
he still is the champ, by the way, because he went that fight that he lost against Bivol, he went up, so he went back down, and like I think, by the way, too,
Well, there you go. Well,
expert
it's
matchmaking.
more, yeah. So then now it's more, you know, making a fight for, looking for a fight for him rather than him looking for a fight.
Yeah,
So,
I think it's
um,
good. Like it was a smart move because the casual audience, they're not paying attention to the fact that Triple G is like 40, so they see the name Triple G and they think of the first two fights. They're like, wow, like Canelo just lost and now he's taking a fight versus Triple G again, like one of his toughest rivals. Like this dude's legit. But if you really and like I love Canelo, obviously I'm a huge fan of his. But you look at like the fights sometimes that he gets, like it's very easy to predict like what's gonna happen.
yeah.
Like this one
So
basically went as I
maybe
figured it was
in
gonna
that
go.
sense, like I guess like if they are gonna throw another fight at him, then he's probably I don't know. It's really weird. This
Maybe Jake Paul.
he's
Nah,
highly capable of beating anybody, but
I think like there's the only other fights that I could think of. I know that there's the one guy Charlo. He's another middleweight who's really good who Canelo hasn't fought. Probably be an interesting one. And then there's like one other fight that everybody's like always calling for with Canelo. Is it Benavidez? I don't even know. I wish I knew more about boxing. It's dude like let me see, cause actually I don't even know what to remotely because like I'm literally just going off the guy's last name, which I'm not even sure about. So we're just gonna act like I just didn't say that. But I don't know. Like it just seems that everybody that Canelo's going against lately, besides I guess Bivol, he's just outmatching them. Like he's just a better boxer. He's got more power. Like in this one, it was very apparent that the power was starting to affect Triple G. Later in the fight, though, Triple G actually didn't do too bad. It looked like Canelo was getting a little tired in there, but
Yeah.
it was, it was a good fight. I mean, well, decent fight. Not the worst I've ever seen, not the best, but it was a good fight. Like in the sense that I was hyped for it. The pay-per-view production was insane. Always is with the Zone. They really do a good job at making like a spectacle out of it. Although I will say that the fucking time in between the fights is like just crazy. I actually did buy this one, believe it or not. I've said I made that decision because I the first Canelo Triple G fight was the first pay per view I've ever bought, like with my own money. And then I bought the second one too, so I was like, I owe it to these guys to buy the third one, and so I did, and it was pretty good. It's just geez, like we don't need as many previews of a fight that we already bought. Like I said with the UFC too, like why are you selling me the fight? I already bought the pay per view. But anyway, I think that the only other thing that I wanted to mention from that card is I just happened to watch the co-main event because the UFC ended in time, and that fight was a war. So I don't have much to really say about it because I know that you probably didn't see as much with this as you did the main event. But shout out to Jesse Rodriguez and Israel Gonzalez for putting on a fucking war out there. Jesse Rodriguez got the win by unanimous decision. 118, 109, 114, 113. By the way, how the fuck do you see that? Well, actually, then again, I said it was constant action. I don't think I've ever watched a boxing match where they just had like more time just in the pocket, just throwing hands. Like I was enjoying the hell out of that shit. Maybe that's why the scorecards for this one are a little weird. But yeah,
Yeah.
118, 109, 114, 113, and 117 and 111. But all Rodriguez.
Nowadays, you see, like, everyone's just a lot more, like, just calculated and, like, sticking to, like, game plan and technique, and rightfully so, but, man, like, to just scrap like that, two guys are just truly leaving it all out there, and just,
And
that's,
they know what they're doing too. Like these Eddie
that's
Hearn
how
and
we
like
get
Matchroom Boxing, like it's Hispanic Heritage Month. Like you ever know Canelo always fights at Cinco de Mayo and Hispanic Heritage Month. That's a tongue twister. And like it works because that's like when his audience is like at their most hyped as it is, and then
Yeah,
you're giving them a
I like,
Canelo fight. And then obviously in the co-main, like you got two. I'm pretty sure they're both Mexican. I think I saw on their trunks. So you got two Mexican warriors out there just laying it all on the line in the co-main to set up this huge trilogy fight between
I
Canelo
like
and
that,
Triple
I
G.
like that a lot.
Good job by Eddie Hearn and Matchroom Boxing. I will say that. But he's trying to get Anthony Joshua to fight Tyson Fury. Like apparently, see boxing headlines. I try not to read into them because they're like Eddie Hearn says that Anthony Joshua has accepted Tyson Fury's terms for the fight. I'm like, but that doesn't mean it's official. So why is this news? Like I don't care that like if so what that Anthony Joshua said yes. Anthony Joshua just came off a loss that he made himself look like an idiot afterwards. I don't know if you saw that by the way. Did you see the post fight of that? Because I remember we talked about the fight, but at the time, like I hadn't seen the interview. Bro, he was like classless after the fight. He was like, Usyk was trying to like cheer him up and like tell him he's like good, and he's like, yeah, he's like, but I'm better than you. He's like, I should have like, he's like, I don't know what happened in there. Like, and he's like, dude, like, humble yourself. You got beat twice by this guy dominantly. Like, shut up. Like that's what I'm saying.
No,
Just
what
shut up, bro.
happened in there?
Anthony Joshua, and he's like saying shit on the mic, like overtaking Usyk's moment. Like, fuck that guy.
That's
Honestly,
rough.
I don't like him. Like, I didn't really like him that much anyway, but like that really was the finisher for me. So in a way, I actually hope he does fight Tyson Fury because Tyson Fury will fucking beat his ass, and we know that. But I guess that'll be it for the boxing talk right now. So we'll go from striking to some grappling, and we're gonna talk about a little bit about the ADCCs. And I would say that we're a step above casuals for jujitsu, but we're definitely not hardcore. So we're only going to be focusing on just the crazy shit that Gordon Ryan was doing in there because he was not only in that crazy super fight with Andre Galvao, which is like one of the most hyped up jiu-jitsu matches I think I've seen as long as I've been an MMA fan. Um, but then he also like competed in his own weight class and just fucking ran through the competition. I mean, we were watching it. Just what are your thoughts on how Gordon Ryan just basically obliterated everybody in the ADCCs, including Andre Galvao, by the way, because everybody thought that was going to be like the
Um,
match.
I
And
mean, well, yeah, I mean, for that match, for instance, like you could have expected that to be at least, like somewhat closer than it was. But I mean, as far as Gordon Ryan running through everybody, just one like don't matter how it gets done, like he gets his hand raised, then I s- that's pretty expected at this point. Like it just seems like you know he's ageless, and it's just that's when you have the skill set and the arsenal, like just another level above everybody else.
I
It's
think he's
like
more than just one
you can
level above everybody at this
more
point.
than you can. Yeah, then as an opponent of his, you can do all the talking you want. You can like lay out the game plan as much as you want. It's not until you get in there across from him and it's like, all right, like where am I gonna attack first? Like, how am I like, dude? These guys are in there for 20 minutes grappling, and I'm like, you gotta worry about your
And Gordon's on his
cardio and
back for like 10 of them.
yeah,
Like
dude,
that's
like Ron Ryan just has all the boxes just checked off, and it's like
and he's not even healthy. Like that's the craziest part.
yeah,
Like he's not healthy.
it's like 70%.
Yeah, like he's
Like
got
you
like
can't beat Gordon
bad
Ryan
stomach
at
problems.
70%. And how old is he
He's like,
now?
oh, I think he's like 25, dude. He's really young. He's
Oh,
let me see. I'll look it up for sure. I don't want to be that dead wrong about it, but I'm pretty sure he's in his like mid 20. Yeah, he's 27.
oh my god, dude.
So
He's the
entering his
GOAT.
physical
Dude,
prime.
imagine being 20. Yeah, exactly. And you're already considered like the GOAT of your field.
Yeah, definitely for no gi. Like jujitsu itself is like, that's a definite like longer conversation because you got like a bunch of the Gracies and like I'm sure there's way more people that me and you don't know about.
Well,
But
yeah, no gi
no
too.
gi,
Like,
like who's done what Gordon Ryan's been doing? Like, because no gi wasn't really
um,
as much of a thing before like 10th Planet and like Eddie Bravo. Like he really made it like into a
I think,
competition that
yeah,
people like.
yeah, and you see why it is what it is today because everyone can really slip in and gi like you get that opening like it's that easy. But
It's a different like game too.
exactly,
Like you got the grips on like the collars and the sleeves and all that
you have
stuff.
to
But
be just so much more like just savvy, I guess, in there.
yeah, you definitely have to be a lot smarter because there's more like because obviously you get choked with the gi, like which is not something that happens in no gi.
Exactly,
So Gordon Ryan has definitely cemented his legacy as one of the greatest ever, if not the greatest ever.
he's the greatest I've ever seen.
Yeah, I mean he
He's
is for me too. The
ridiculous.
only reason why I just have the caveat is because I'm sure that some jujitsu head knows some more than we do, and he'd be like, actually, well, well, we'll
Well,
just leave it. But Gordon
maybe
Ryan's definitely the best of the
when
modern
it's
era.
all said and done for Gordon Ryan's career, I don't think anyone can really deny him.
Hey man, he's at 27 and he's already being talked about, like you said. So that's impressive. I mean, like he wins by rear naked choke against Galvao, and then you also look at the final versus Nicky Rod. Like heel hooked him in like I think a minute. That's just unbelievable. Like this guy is so much better than the next
It's like
best. It's insane,
It's
insane.
like as an opponent of his, like, how are you going in there looking to beat him? Like, are you just trying to just out grapple him for 20 minutes, or are you trying to? I don't think. Cause how are you gonna look to finish him? Like he's gonna probably have a counter for everything.
I just wonder how confident they truly are coming in. Like, because there's definitely some that are just showing up for the paycheck. There's probably some that
That's what
might
I
think
mean.
they're
Like
gonna lose, they want to learn.
you can talk all the talk you want and lay out the game, like lay out what you're gonna do, and like it looks, in your head, like yeah, like this is exactly how I'm gonna go at him. Like no one's ever done this to him. Like I'm gonna be the first. And it's not until then it's like, oh well, he has counter for that too. And now,
Yeah,
when
like
if you know it, you're on your back, and he's all over you, and he's gonna finish you in like the next 5 minutes or so.
yeah, it's not and not even like discounting like all the crazy wins he got in the tournament, but like just going specifically to the Galvao fight, like the way that he just like because like I said, everybody was hyping this up. Like this is gonna be the guy who's gonna give Gordon hell in there, and like I don't know about everybody, that's for sure. I think it was probably like 50-50 from what I'd seen. That like people thought some people thought Galvao would win, some people thought Gordon, but I'm like okay. I haven't seen people say that about Gordon the whole time I've been an MMA fan, so let's watch. Because I know he's lost, but it's been like fucking forever. Like the whole time I've been watching MMA, he hasn't lost. So just watching him like just dominate Galval. Like we were talking about like Galval's wrestling might have been a little better, but even that couldn't do anything. Like Gordon Ryan basically pulled guard when Galval took him down, and then eventually like when he was on top of him, the top control was fantastic, and everybody thought that Galval might be able to do that to Gordon, but nope. Like this dude is truly the king, as they dub him. And it was cool to have Bruce Buffer there for that. You saw me; I closed my eyes when Bruce Buffer did Gordon Ryan's intro because I was like, God, I wish that was in the UFC. But if we ever do see Gordon Ryan compete in MMA, it will be in one championship, which is completely fine with me because one championship does a good job. But he'll be grappling over there either way. But with that, I was about to get into the fight night, but I feel like this is too big to like not cover. So fight night happens and all that, and then all of a sudden, boom, Jose Aldo retires out of well, not really out of nowhere because Marab kind of said that he told him in the cage that he was done with. I, by the way, did not like Marab saying that publicly. Like that should be
Oh,
between.
what?
Yeah, I don't know if you saw it.
No.
He said that to Ariel. He said, "Yeah, we were talking in there, and Aldo said that that was his last one." I'm like, "That's not you. You can't like
Yeah.
how are you I like Marab obviously, but like Aldo's earned the right to announce that himself. Like why are you going on Ariel and just fucking saying that? And that was like a couple weeks ago. Whenever they fought, it was the week after. And then now obviously now Aldo announces it, and it's also the same day too. He gives birth, or his wife gives birth. I think it's well, I don't know if it's their second kid or third kid, but yeah, he made like a post on Instagram, and he was like in tears, like watching it. Like, good for him, man. Like he's earned it. He's done everything. Been like the definition of been there, done that, in my opinion. But what would be your parting words, I guess, for Jose Aldo and his career? Like,
Well,
what's your take on all this?
he's one of those guys you don't think is like really ever gonna retire. It's like it's almost like he could just go on forever, just keep bringing the most brutal leg kicks to anybody that they put in front of him, no matter what point of it, at what point of his career that he's in. But no, that caught me a lot by surprise too. It's like wow, it's like
Icon.
yeah, it's like groundbreaking in a way. It's like exactly. He's been here for so long, has the even in his most recent run, like he's still hanging around with guys like Max Holloway and just a bunch of story names. Like man, yeah, I really hope I really hope he does get his his proper due as like just one of the best to ever do it because he really is.
Yeah,
You know,
he's
not
in
just talking like weight classes either. Like I'm sure like pound for pound,
all
like it's
time. Yep, I
exactly.
agree. I think he's in like my top 5 or 6. Like you look at all those legacy. You don't even like have to mention all his wins in Brazil, but he goes in to the WEC in 2008 and he finishes all of his fights in. I think that's what how many in a row. He beat 5 people in a row by knockout. The last one being actually no, that's 6. Never mind, I was wrong. So the 5th one though was Cub Swanson, who we obviously know, like in the UFC mainstay. That was an impressive win back then. Mike Brown, who you guys probably recognize from American Top Team, he's now a coach. That just shows you how long Aldo's been fighting. And he fought Mike Brown, and he beat his ass too. But after that is when he fought Uriah Faber. That was because I think he beat Mike Brown for the title. Because yeah, Brown beat Faber, and then Aldo beat Mike Brown, and then Faber obviously tried to get the belt back from Aldo, and we all know what happened in that fight. I've never seen a person's legs. Oh, I've never seen a white guy's leg black like that. Like that was crazy. His leg was so swollen and messed up after that fight. I mean, like I said, if anybody's never seen Jose Aldo versus Uriah Faber in the WEC, find a way to watch it because that will truly be one of the most brutal exhibitions of leg kicks that you will ever see
Yeah,
in a
indeed.
cage. But after that, even like beat Manny Gambarian, his UFC debut. I think he was already the champ. Like I think they might have made him the champ, like they did with Cruz, or it was him versus Mark Hominick for the title. But either way, he dominated Mark Hominick, except for the last round because Mark Hominick did turn it up. But then he beat Kenny Florian, Chad Mendez, Frankie Edgar, Korean Zombie, Ricardo Lamas, Mendez again. And then after that, he lost to McGregor. But before McGregor, he hadn't lost in like 10 years, which is crazy to think about.
Dude, these are crazy names that he's beaten too.
Yeah, and like you even go past the McGregor fight where he obviously
Had
lost.
twice.
Beat Edgar again, Jeremy Stevens, Renato Moicano, Chito Vera, Pedro Munoz, and Rob Font. Rob Font will be his final win. So
I don't think. Yeah, there's no shame in that. Especially Rob Font and like still trying to like
how about
get to the
Chito
top.
too? Like,
Yeah, dude.
crazy.
That's what I'm saying. Like he could have like this is a dude that could still keep going if he wanted.
Yeah, like I will say the fight that got away from us that I'm very sad that we never got to see is him versus Dominic Cruz.
Yeah.
Because that would have been just truly an old MMA fan's dreams watching that fight. But Jose Aldo is the man, dude. Like I personally had him as the greatest featherweight of all time through Holloway's reign. Like because the UFC, they love to just prop up the next guy as the best ever just to promote him in the moment. And I feel like a lot of it is that plus a recency bias. But Jose Aldo, like, you got to think, like, he hadn't lost in 10 years before the McGregor fight. And he still got his belt back after that. And, like, I think that Holloway is great. And obviously he beat Aldo twice. But, his reign wasn't long enough for me, and I get that a lot of his big wins came before he fought for the title.
We're
but
talking like all-time Jose Aldo fights before the UFC.
yeah, exactly. Like
I don't.
it's just a tough debate.
Yeah, exactly. Those WBC days should not be discounted at all.
Yeah, like I said, he lost to McGregor in 2015. He lost his first fight ever in 2005, and then didn't lose after that until the McGregor fight 10 years later. Like that's unheard of. Like, people got to realize how impressive that is. Like Max Holloway had a great winning streak, but Max Holloway did not do that. Like that's unbelievable. So I always held him over Holloway personally. I think Volkanovski now though is I think he might be the GOAT now.
Well, yeah, modern day GOAT for sure.
I think it's still debatable, but considering that Volkanovski has a win over Aldo and now three wins over Max Holloway, I don't know. That might be a hard resume to beat, to be honest. And Alexander the Great is like 20 something and 1. So just like Jose Aldo pretty much at that point. I think that Volkanovski can definitely give him a run for his money if he hasn't already eclipsed him.
Definitely.
But, we don't want to go too far into that. Respect to Jose Aldo. Great career. Definitely could have kept going, but, we just had to obviously give a quick run through of his resume for the casuals or the newer fans who truly just don't understand how great this dude really was. But with that, we'll get into the UFC fight night from this week. Before we get into the actual fights, I remember you texted me this while I was at work. Aspen Ladd missing weight again at 135. I think she's got to move up to 45 now, right? Like they got to force her. What do you think?
Yeah, they should force her. What is it like how many times is this now? Like 3?
Yeah, I think it's the third time.
Yeah, like come on.
And I'm glad too. I'm pretty sure they gave McMahon her show and her win money, which is good because she came and made weight, did what she was supposed to do, and like I don't. Aspen Ladd is like she missed weight in I think the Jermaine Durandamy fight, which was her first main event. I'm pretty sure. Then she missed weight in the one I think it was Macy Chasson, and I think she blamed that one on her period, which is like, hey, I mean, who knows? But it's still like I think it was either Misha Tate or Ronda Rousey, might have been both of them actually, who said pretty much like even being a woman, like knowing that that's a thing that could happen, you sign the contract at the weight, you make the weight. It's no different. Just because there's another excuse in there, you like, because their logic was like she should know her body and not book a fight during that time where she thinks she's not going to be able to lose the weight. But then you have this fight. I don't know if there's been a reason yet, but just you got to move up in weight. I think at this point, deal with it. Like you can't miss weight and screw three girls out of fight. Well, Jermaine Durandamy ended up fighting her, but the other few, you just can't. Like, no way. I can't see this girl fight at 135. It can't be healthy either. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. But we'll get into the fight. How about that main event, dude? How about the whole card actually? Because like the Just Bleed fans, like they really won in this one because there were some fucking nasty cuts throughout this whole card. But the main event, just give me your take on it. I'll let you go
Well,
first with
this
this one.
main event and co-main event, so that was like a good, I guess, way to cap it off. But yeah, this is a fight I was looking forward to for a little bit now this year. I'm a big Corey Sandhagen fan. I don't think that's much of a secret anymore. But even like
As am I.
Yeah, exactly. With Sonya Dong's uprising too, like I think this was a very like you know I'm gonna say more one of the more underrated bantamweight fights of the year so far,
I
and
very much would agree.
it showed itself like it hands down showed itself, and then um, but more obviously more in the favor of Corey Sandhagen, who I mean just once again, dude, it's like and I think we've talked about it a little bit before how like a cut like that or some sort of injury like you put that kind of damage on a dude like that can alter like it does just like that can alter like the entire rest of the fight. And once it's like first round was like super like a little too close for me to score honestly. I
Yeah.
mean I
I
didn't
personally gave it to Song just because even they both seem to be landing near evenly, but Song was landing like much bigger shots.
yeah.
And
And
I
then from
yeah, I'll let you keep going.
but yeah, pretty much like I'm just using that to prop my point. Like from there, like it was round two, I believe. Song Yadong gets the nasty cut over his eye, and then it was just all Corey Sandhagen from there, pretty much. And I mean,
Song tried,
yeah,
like
Sean, he
he
did.
gave it his
Like
best.
especially that last round was like a really like impressive too for him to like just
Yeah.
make things interesting. But
Got takedown too, right?
yeah,
So actually speaking of takedowns, I would say I'm surprised, but like looking back, like it makes sense that he would try to use this. But the way that Sandhagen was mixing it up with his wrestling, just keeping him on his toes, like just see, because I don't even think that he was doing that to really get like the takedowns. I think it was more just to like keep him guessing. Like, all right, well he's already unpredictable enough on the feet. Now you have the takedown along with it. I mean, that's what made Dominic Cruz so good for so long. I think it was a good part of his game plan, even though some of the times it led to bad
Corey
scrambles.
Sandhagen just has such like a wide arsenal on the feet through his striking. It's like wow, it's like you don't really know what's coming next. I mean, the flying knee's not really a secret anymore. He went for that a few times, but
Yeah,
you know,
that'd be like my only criticism of him sometimes. That like
yeah, that's true.
that's
Yeah,
lost him
yeah.
fights
I
like
think
in the past.
we've talked about that too. How like he tries to get a little I guess too flashy, and then it gets him in trouble.
Yeah, because with
But
Jan, he's getting taken down every time. With TJ Dillashaw, he would be spinning and he'd get taken down.
yeah.
Like in this one, it didn't seem to affect him as much because Song seemed pretty content to stay on the feet even when he was like losing at that point. But
Well, yeah, but once he gets back into like that title scene and all that, like you can't, you gotta limit that.
yeah,
So
yeah, because I mean, you look at the guys he called out. He definitely didn't just. It's good to not pick just one name. Give yourself like a bunch of options if there
yeah,
are them. So you got Marab he called out, Cheeto, or the winner of Jan
because
versus
one
O'Malley.
guy you call out can lead to the next guy that you call out, and then you get that guy beat him, then you
I
know
just like it. It leaves his options
exactly.
open. Like
Yeah,
that way, if somebody gets booked, he's not like, oh shit, well who do I got to fight? Like he thought it through. Luckily for him,
but
bantamweight is
yeah,
also stacked, but
the style, just the wild like throwing all caution to the wind kind of style, like
it won't work against Marab
no.
if he doesn't knock him out cold, which I don't think he would.
These wrestlers that are just they're not gonna play around with that. Like they're gonna
To
make
be honest,
it's a
I don't like it versus Cheeto either. And Cheeto's not a wrestler.
Tito. I think he's just like I've said it before. This guy that just knows how to adjust to like each and
Very
every
true.
fight and just adapt to each guy that he's fighting. And so like I just think if Cheeto wanted to stay on the field, Corey Sandhagen, I could see like yeah, I could see a decision victory there.
Would
Or,
love to see Sandhagen versus O'Malley
oh
because that would be a striking
yeah.
masterclass to watch in there.
Now I've got a ton of eyes on him too. Like
Yeah, I
obviously
would love
not
to
just
see
from
it.
Sean O'Malley's side, but just
It's a good co-main event for like a
exactly,
pay-per-view.
yeah.
I like it a
That'd
lot.
be a lot of fun.
He looked incredible in this fight. Like I think he really put himself right back
Yeah,
into
that's
title
good to
contention.
exactly. That's good to see for sure from him because he's still like yeah, exactly. He's still very much like one of the top guys. It's just like you really want
Those
to like,
losses were close. I
yeah,
mean, the
you really,
TJ fight, I thought he won personally. To this day, I still think he won that fight.
I mean,
Damage
yeah,
over
it's just an
control.
experience thing, really. I
Yeah,
mean,
he'll get
the
there.
more experience he gets under his belt, the better it'll be. So.
Hey, I mean, even this fight, he made the adjustments because in the first couple rounds, Song was like really penetrating his guard, and like Corey was putting himself in the boxing range without putting his hands up, and that's what was leading him getting clipped. But eventually, he adjusted, kept his hands up as he was going in, or just stayed out and used his kicks. Just great performance, masterclass on the feet, honestly,
Yeah.
from round like mid round 2 on. Because he did get like, I don't know if you saw that, he kind of got like dropped a little bit early in round 2. Like he I don't know if he dropped him, but he definitely stunned him, and he like sent them falling back a little bit. But after that, it seemed like Corey just kicked it into high gear, and that's when it just the whole fight changed after that, which speaks to Corey's resilience, by the way, too. So I'm intrigued no matter who he fights next. I don't want to see him fight Marav though, because that's a scary fight for him. I don't know if he can win that fight even at his best, because Marav is just a different beast against strikers. Cheeto or O'Malley though would not mind seeing. I'm not there yet for seeing him versus Jan again, as great of a fight as that was. I feel like we might be able to see that for a title at one point. So save it. But the co-main
Yeah.
event, you mentioned that. Gregory Rodrigues, dude, like we're talking about songs cut, and obviously that ended up stopping the fight after round 4. You know, Corey won by TKO with doctor stoppage, but Gregory Rodrigues, that might have been one of the worst cuts I've ever fucking seen in there.
Yeah.
He had like a
Except
unibrow, bro.
except this, it's the other way around, and he freaking got the job done. Like what?
Went crazy on him, dude. That was nuts. And like when he got him down and he was just literally just throwing those bombs from top control, I was like, no way, he's actually about to finish this fight. But that's what happens. I mean, it was a crazy first round because obviously Chidi hit him with that knee to open up the cut, and it stunned him as it was because that knee was fucking huge. Like people got to talk about Gregory Rodriguez's chin, I think, at this point because Julian Marquez, remember that fight he had with him? Like, you know, he was piecing Julian up, but then Julian hit him with some bombs. Like, how long is it going to take for Rodriguez to get a shot at somebody in the top 15 at middleweight? Because he's just beating, like, I feel like he's beating everybody, like, around that top 15 range, like, just under it, like these guys who are up and coming just like him. But what else do we need to see? I mean, the Julian Marquez one was enough for me. This one just
Yeah.
solidifies it.
You just gave him a co-main event too.
Exactly.
So
Like,
I think yeah, there should definitely be something in store in the top 15 for him.
let's check out these middleweight rankings now that they've changed a little bit. Oh yeah, we were talking about Darren Till the other week. He's got that fight now versus Dricus Duplessis.
Yeah.
That's a good matchup. I like it. Maybe Brad Tavares or Chris Curtis. Be an interesting
Ooh.
one. I love to see him versus Chris Curtis. I'd be actually
Yeah, me
even Brad
too.
Tavares though. That'd be fucking war because those guys both
Both
come
of
to
them,
scrap.
yeah. I think I'd rather see Tavares, honestly.
It's close. It's very close because Chris Curtis is fucking insane too. And
Yeah, no, I
I don't
think
know. That's a tough fight. Tough fight to pick. I agree though. I think Tavares actually because isn't Curtis coming off the loss to Hermanson?
yeah.
Yeah, so I don't want to. I don't want to see him fight another tough dude like that. I want to see him get another good
Brad
striker.
Tavares, I believe, is coming off of like a great fight of his own. So
I think. Yeah, you might be right about that. Let me see because I think I can just click on his name if I'm not mistaken, and it'll tell me like his last couple fights. View fight history. He just that's right. He lost the decision to Dricus Duplessis. That was a great fight. Remember that fight? He had him hurt. I think like later in the. I think if I remember that fight correctly, Duplessis. I think that's how you actually say it. Started off really well, and then he got tired, and then Tavares picked it up. I could be wrong though. It could be vice versa. It's been a minute since I've seen that fight. Happened in July, so got to give
yeah,
us
I
some
don't
slack.
think I feel like a Chris Curtis fight could end as fast as this one like just did, or whereas a Brad Tavares fight, I just think would has all the potential to just be 3 round war.
Yeah,
It's,
I'm a big fan of this guy now. By the way, Gregory Rodrigues. Like I knew who he was obviously coming in because of the Marquez fight, and even the fight before that I kind of remembered. But now I'm at the point where I'm looking forward to seeing this guy's name on the marquee next time because it's just constant action. Like I love watching him fight. RoboCop, man. But good for him. I mean, like you said, that cut was nasty, and that has the potential to change the trajectory of the whole fight. For him, he used it knowing that his time was probably limited in
Yeah,
there.
that's crazy.
They even said before round two that the doctor was, give him a short leash. So he knew that, and he executed. He got executed Cheaty, honestly. That's how I would put it.
Yeah, and
Cheaty no
like
Jukwani. I mean, he looked good in round one, but round two was a whole different
whereas
story.
with Song Yadong, like I don't like this wasn't. I don't think this was some lucky shot. Like he clearly won by ground and pound, TKO, all of that. Like
Yeah,
Song Yadong, I think Song Yadong would have needed that lucky shot
yeah, he
to
would have had to
push
crack
Corey,
him.
yeah, to push Sandhagen down and then finish him that way. But
Yeah, or he'd have to try and submit him, which is
yeah,
hard.
dude, that cut was just too bad, and
Yeah.
Corey was in full control, so that was a good stoppage.
Two killers in there with the main and co-main event winners. But the only other fight I kind of wanted to talk about on this card was my lock of the night. We haven't been doing that obviously as regularly on like YouTube, but we still post it on social media if like we feel the urge. And I saw Javid Basharat's name in there against Tony Gravely, and I was like, there is no way that Javid loses this fight because Tony Gravely, like he's a great wrestler, doesn't use it as well as he could probably, and besides that though, he's just always just looking for a scrap. And I was like, Javid's style is honestly similar to Corey Sandhagen's in the sense that he's picking him apart from range, and his range management and his footwork is just
Yeah.
incredible. And that's pretty much what happened. Like he outstruck him, he outgrappled him, which was kind of unexpected, but he did. It's just out MMA'd him, as I say. It was just a good win for Javid Basharat, and he's 13-0 now, and he's a bantamweight. So as if we needed like another
Yeah, right.
rising star at bantamweight, now we have this guy, and he speaks well. He talks a little bit of shit. I like it. I like it. I don't know who he called out after this fight, to be honest. I should have probably looked that up before this, but I don't know. I've been impressed. I don't think he should be in the top 15 yet because I think that one, it's just a logjam because there's so many great bantamweight fighters, and Tony Gravely though, like he's. I think this was like a stylistic type of opponent. Like they wanted to see how he'd do against a guy
Yeah.
who could out wrestle him. Passed that test at flying colors,
Yeah.
and got my prediction pretty much right on the money. I said if he didn't knock him out, he was gonna just piece him up to a decision win, and that's exactly what happened. So good win for Javid Basharat. His brother actually just got a win this week too on the Contender Series. So look out for him, I guess too. I didn't see that fight, but that's a good week for their family. I'll say that. So a solid UFC fight night, not the best. I mean, the Apex ones, honestly, for me nowadays, like the I, I guess the factor of like hearing the punches and hearing everything, that's kind of gone away for me. And I'm kind of just like, well, it's quiet. There's not as much energy as there I would want it to be. So every time I see that there's like a card on the Apex or at the Apex, it just kind of like makes me like a little bit less hyped because I'm like, well, there's not going to be as many
Yeah.
fans. And that was kind of the case with this one. And a lot of the fights too were like decisions too, which obviously like the fans aren't getting too crazy for some of those. And the energy for that card before the co-main and the main event just didn't really seem to be there for me at least. And that's kind of why I honestly wanted to keep it at like a minimum for talking about it because we're real. We're not going to talk about something that we don't give a shit about. Like if there's a shitty fight, it doesn't make a difference. Like we're not going to just talk about something just because it was on the card. And especially on a weekend too, where the ADCCs and boxing was going crazy like it was.
Yeah.
But overall,
Yeah,
great
exactly.
weekend.
It's not like there was a shortage of other fights elsewhere.
Yeah, exactly. Even next weekend, like without the UFC, there's Bellator on Friday. Yoel Romero versus Melvin Manhoof. Can't wait for that one. That's gonna be crazy. I'm sure you guys know enough about Yoel Romero and how he can end a fight in a matter of seconds. But Melvin Manhoof is a nasty kickboxer. He's had some crazy fights in the cage. I don't think he's ever been in the UFC. I think he was Strike Force straight into Bellator. But yeah, that's going to be a crazy fight.
Nice.
Two OGs of the fight game.
Yeah.
Both could end the fight at any point. So can't wait to talk about that one on the next episode. But we think we have a pretty good idea for what we're going to do the next THH, even though there's no UFC. We'll keep it a secret for now, but you guys will find out soon enough. We'll see y'all next time.